Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order, Last Days of Europe, with me, Alpha Bio Omega, and Empire of Japan. So I hope you enjoyed the statistical episode intermezzo. I kinda like the format. I hope that it gives a little bit of an extra... I hope that it's a little extra cherry on the ice cream sundae of our playthrough. Anyway, before we jump into the records and the backers, I wanted to show you a more, because that was one of the weird things that we ended up looking at during the statistics episode or the intermezzo episode. Amur is part of the Russian, ex-Russian territory or ex-Soviet territory, but it made a huge jump. Here is their focus tree. They're actually doing an insane amount of stuff. So I wanted to just quickly check. We can see some of the effects. There probably is something here that's going to give them a huge jump in GDP. Secure state under lock and key. Nope. So maybe here. Contact the Japanese. Coordination, labor, stability. Okay, pro-Russian industry that increases GDP growth. They get extra units. National unions. The corporate state. Construction speed factor output. 1 through Vozhd. The parallel of the Vozhd for whole Russia. There's a lot of events here, so I guess some of them might have, stability. Religious rights, new Supreme Council, eyes in every home, the Vozhd speech. Well, okay, some of those events probably helped them a lot because, they had 1250% growth or something. That's just crazy. Or was it 158? Yeah, 1200% was the sphere trade. Well, either way, records and the backers. And soon it emerges the real key to understanding the mess of the paperwork is the location the equipment is sent to. Oh yes, the locations are very interesting, because none of them tally with the army records of the transactions of the company the team prepares in advance. The web described by the army follows conventional shipping routes with detours at Shanghai and Saigon, the normal route to take. But the routes of the paperwork bounce back and forth across the sphere, chaotic, random. It strikes Kodaira that the movement of the routes is almost similar to a deck of cards being shuffled by an old hand, back and forth and back and forth. Upon closer examination, two major patterns can be discerned. Firstly, many of the routes approach warehouses or storage facilities managed by the army or navy, most of them marked as surplus storage in military directories, sparsely guarded and even more sparsely manned. Without any value to normal shipping, it appears that these offices serve a disturbing secondary function to the maintenance of the routes. Secondly, and far more importantly, the routes converge without fail on an isolated facility near the harbor, a storage warehouse for the army. Its manifest is easily accessible after a few phone calls to Army Logistics Command, and appears to be perfectly normal, suspiciously normal. In fact, the irregularities of the manifests are that none of the usual cock-ups of the military logistics chain are ever even present. Kodaira and Tachi agree, it must be searched. Whatever they're looking for, it'll be there. We're closing in. Can we get some free production units? One of those actually, so let's put it on the civilian factories. Have we finished drilling the navy? No, we haven't. Okay, so these... Oh, trained free. So what's the... A regular one? Okay, so we need to get the regular one. That's where we will get the second fleet in training. So... Agency upgraded, a naval department. Amazing. So let's continue with our department because we want more information. Systems failure. Report a failure. I wanted to see, wait, we do have an agent over there, right? We've sent you to Washington, so we get 12%. Do we see anything? The civilian, total army. Okay, we're getting some information. Jesus Christ, they got 550 ships. What the hell? And about 4,500 other points. Okay, then never mind. We don't want to get in conflict with them. System failure. The quick of the nozzle sounded over and over as the soldier pulled the trigger, but the tanker on his back grumbled and did not spill out any of the blazes expected in the test. Taken aback by the failure, scientists observing from a distance threw their cupboards by their sides as they shot down their arms in frustration. Malfunction, they concluded, as reports that followed cited a defect in the adaptation of the Type 120 ignition system, a result of the cold weather effects on the heated electrical wire within the weapon. Disappointed, the soldier disengaged his equipment and removed the tanker from his back. He dragged his feet towards his squad members, and they welcomed him with a nodding acceptance. Perhaps more disheartened, the scientific examiners leaned over the observing railings that pierce over the testing fields at a loss for words. It was experience, they thought, coping with the dread of reporting a system failure back to the officers. Report a failure, but make it sound pretty. So lowered a little bit of stability by 2%, but army experience +1. Okay, but our stability is continuously increasing, so it's not a major issue. And we finished specialist weapons and post-naval infantry equipment. Was this connected to the event? That would be pretty neat if it was. Okay, let's go with Advanced Special Forces Training. With extensive training, we can ensure that our special forces will be able to perform above and beyond that of normal men. And what was the other one? It was this one, post more naval infantry. But yep, it was. These ones are all ahead of time, unfortunately. Though we can go with the anti-air equipment, prototype anti-air equipment. We haven't researched that yet. Experimental equipment for granting air denial power to common infantry without the need for heavy-duty equipment or emplacements. Of limited effectiveness, but great future potential. Defense of the tank, air attack, reliability, breakthrough. Lowers enemy air support by 4%. Piercing. I wonder if that's a new thing we'll need to produce. 415 days. Are we producing anything like that? That's improved anti-tank. Would that be added automatically to our units? What do we have here? Anti-tank, artillery, attack, helicopter, infantry, support equipment. Nope, nothing like that. Okay, so national exiles. The Japanese were calling again. Unlike most of his comrades, Albert Rezafi did not trust the Japanese. Despite everything they had done for the liberation of Madagascar, there was a certain hollowness to their promises. Well, I do understand his skepticism. When he was a recent convert to the revolutionary cause, the Japanese claims of solidarity and liberation went down as smoothly as honey. But after 5 years in Calcutta, on the edges of their anti-imperialist empire, it was hard to buy into their propaganda. Yet no matter how sour their words tasted, Rafazi was forced to eat it up because without the Japanese, Tafama would not exist. As much as Rafazi wished a revolution could survive on the fervor of the people alone, the people's soldiers needed bullets, a lot of bullets. In the wake of the failed insurrection against the French in 1947, the former MDRM rebels were fractured and starving. A loose formation of ex-soldiers, professional revolutionaries, and opportunistic adventurers, united only by the desire for the death of their oppressors, was nursed back to health by Japanese advisors and guns. Wasn't Madagascar part? It's a French Madagascar. I remember we had it as a colony, as Germany. So when does that happen? Oh yeah, all these Reichskommissariats are gonna collapse. You just wait. Though maybe in this history they won't, because we went a completely different route than the Germans seems to be going now. The Madagascar Independence Army, or Tafama they were called. Since 47, their movement had slowly grown in the shadow of the French colony's house of cards, fighting small battles and building their strength. There were others, to be sure, fat liberals sucking wine in French West Africa, and more recently a group of disorganized and bloodthirsty communists hiding in the jungles. But only Tafama truly carried the torch of the MDRM. The time for war was closing in. Even in his bunker in the highlands of Central Madagascar, home of the noble Merina people who formed the backbone of Tafama, he could see the French regime was failing. The German garrison was getting anxious at the growing body count. The native police force was in everyone's pocket but the French, and Paris seemed farther away with each passing hour. Once liberation was complete, the true motives of the Japanese could be assessed, but for now, imperialist blood must be shed with imperialist arms. And Fazi reached for the phone. Okay, so we might have a crisis over Madagascar. So maybe that's how we gained it. That we beat the Japanese? Well, we could get a new member of the sphere. So we get the 50s anti-air armaments upgrade. Now let's get the 50s anti-air larger guns. I wanted to say laser guns, but larger guns. Jet planes have rendered the small caliber weapons of the past useless. Larger guns with longer ranges and faster shell velocities are the only real practical option in our new terrifying world. So anti-air attack increased by 10% and support attack of anti-air by 6%. You guys are still drilling, consuming that fuel like there's no tomorrow. And we are finishing the fuel capacity expansion already at 753k. Pretty good. The warehouse. So let's see what's in there, shall we? Tachi and Kodara finally find themselves at the entrance of the warehouse. It had been quite the journey to get here, and Kodara comments that it likely would not be worth the while, just another dead end or another tiny chain in the endless link. Tachi remains silent and approaches the open door, only to be stopped by a warehouse worker. He tells them that they are not authorized to enter and that they would best be off leaving. Tachi flashes his credentials, but the worker does not budge. Annoyed, Tachi goes on a long rant until the worker finally gives in nervously and allows the two detectives to pass. Inside, the two are initially rather curious, then confused, then completely shocked. The warehouse is completely empty. The two detectives both walk around for a moment in stunned silence, looking for anything at all. Weapons, supplies, the kinds of things that they had been tracking to find this place. They find not a single box of shells in the entire building. They immediately begin pulling aside and questioning the truly minute skeleton crew. Truly minute skeleton crew, who dodge every question and refuse to give a straight answer to even the most basic queries. Kodara eventually demands to see actual documents and records, but is still denied. Tachi goes to investigate the office anyways, but finds nothing. Even after prying open locked cabinets, he finds no records and no real documentation at all. Kodara and Tachi eventually gather what they can and prepare to head back. They have found so much more and so much less than they had hoped at the same time. Oh my god. Well yeah, the war is going to reveal the state of our military, and it's gonna be very sad, I can already tell you that. Okay, do we want to improve relations with the Kido-itas? Yes we do. So we have good relations with them now, 76.5%. And we just need to go and improve it with the conservatives next, and we'll be done. The House of Peers, yep. We're gonna get 100 political power very soon. So we'll use that as a cushion, but the rest is going to be fine. Now, how's the production of our Type 101 and 102 going? Okay, it's increasing pretty nicely. We get 37 and 37. Okay, so we wrangled the governor generals. Spent a little bit of money, but it allows us to go with the first quarter report, which increases our GDP by 0.5%. So we're going to get 1.31 billion extra, but inflation is going to increase by 0.2% as well. The Minister of Commerce and Industry will publish a paper that outlines the advancement and economic growth of the empire and the co-prosperity sphere in the last 10 years. The paper boldly states that the post-war is over, as Japan has now healed the wounds of the nations of Asia that long suffered under Western colonialism and oppression. From here, Japan and with it Asia will enter a new age of prosperity and harmony. Good for us. So GDP is going to increase nicely. I'm happy about that. And with that, the debt to GDP is going to drop, and also our yearly sell price is going to increase. Paralyzed. Tachi and Kodaira eventually return with what they have found, plunging the entire investigation team into complete and utter shock. This has just become much bigger than they really ever wanted, and they have crossed the regular threshold of risk to a point where their safety may be compromised. Yeah. No wonder. No kidding and no shock here. There are clearly very important and very high-ranking people who would be willing to take very drastic measures to keep this quiet, whatever this really is. The debate soon proves to be extremely divisive. Many become extremely worried about whether they might be in too deep and if it might just be best to drop the whole thing. Others insist that the only way to ensure their own safety is to continue pressing harder. Every moment that this loose end stays untied, they become more at risk of retaliation from those that are being investigated. The only sure way to both be safe and make sure that justice is served is to strike first. The debate carries on for hours as the investigators pore over the information, reading and rereading every line, combing over everything they have gathered as yet to try and glean some clue as to what they must do next. Eventually, however, one conclusion is reached. Something has to be done. This case cannot go cold. The only thing to figure out is what exactly to do. We are treading in dangerous territory. Ramfis Trujillo flees Paraguay. Rafael Ramfis Trujillo, son of the Dominican dictator, has long been a source of rumor of bizarre antics and macabre crimes among experts of Caribbean politics. His antics have now branched out to a new location. Sent to Paraguay to help develop a relationship between Latin America's two fascist regimes, Ramfis appears to have fallen out of favor following a scandal over his escapades to benders in Iberia, accompanied by the daughters of top Paraguayan officials. No matter who started what, the end appears to have been an escape attempt by limousine, followed by a firefight between Ramfis' entourage and local security forces near the Argentine border. The lunatic heir to the Dominican Republic had escaped home, trailed by this newest scandal. Sometimes it feels like these kinds of things could be in an adventure novel. The Punta del Este meeting. Many South Americans look with concern at Uruguay today as representatives of many Marxist revolutionary groups across the continent meet in Punta del Este. While no public declaration has been made about the specific points or purposes of this gathering yet, political commentators all around raise concerns. Some attendees are highly wanted criminals, and many parties banned in their respective countries are also known to have sent representatives. What also raises concern is the presence of international revolutionary Ernesto Guevara following his release from the Chilean prison not so long ago. Che had disappeared from notice with only hints of a possible exile into Uruguay, and all wonder what his resurfacing might mean. Could they be planning another revolution? Oh, I do God hope not. That would have been really ugly. But we shall see, won't we? We shall see, won't we? Does it speed it up? Hey, inflation has dropped significantly. That is good. Universal Plus is still okay. This is gonna be really interesting. The experimental. Yeah, it's gonna be a new upgrade for all of our units. Giving them extra defense of the tank breakthrough and anti-air. It's gonna be pretty good. This one actually, that's funny because this one has more defense, less breakthrough, less soft attack, less hard attack, but like 4 times more anti-air, less piercing. So it shows that we actually figured out how to make these weapons. Infantry anti-air 1. And then we get to the actual manpads over here. The game actually goes all the way to 1988, but I think the content ends somewhere around 1976, something like that. I don't remember how far we went with the German playthrough. Too crazy to work? After hours of debate and scheming, Tachi finally speaks up with a truly insane idea. This is clearly much deeper than anticipated. The military is involved somehow. If they do not act soon, they could be in the sights of some very powerful and very dangerous people. Thus, the only course of action is to strike fast and, more importantly, strike hard. If the suspects will not cooperate, which they have shown they have no plans to do, then the investigators will have to get the smoking gun themselves. A vulnerable military base, one assigned to the unit which the warehouse supposedly belonged to. A quick raid, in and out, and the criminals exposed before they can do so much as file a complaint. Kodaira listens thoughtfully, and though many are wary of the plan he speaks in favor of at the end, he talks about the contacts he has made over the years, people who could get the men and supplies necessary for such an ambitious operation, people who have dealt with unsavory and dangerous things before. Kodaira is, after all, one of the most seasoned members of the team. Tachi thanks Kodaira but insists he knows his own plan and the people he wants to carry it out. He is young, fresh, the wild card. The people he might know are stranger, more on the fringe, and perhaps more unique and more unexpected, both to the team and to their foes. His ideas are innovative but untested. The team is varied, but many think his tenacity will bring them to victory. Eventually, it is brought to a vote. Kodaira's allies are as seasoned and well-versed as he is. He will find us allies. Tachi will innovate and get our enemy where they least expect it. No, let's go with classics. Let's go with Kodaira. Diplomatic alert. El Gobernador del Levant has halted the assault from the Republic of Turkey in a border skirmish in the aftermath of the bombing of Malta Conference. What? So wait, they're no longer at war anymore? Governador del Levante. Yep, they're no longer at war. So they did lose some territory to the Turks. Did they or did they not? Those who were the shirt of fire will realize it burns as much as it warms. Okay. Italy wins the Italo-Turkish War. For years, the border disputes between Turkey and Italy have been a major cause of disagreements between two allies. The high tensions between two Mediterranean countries peaked after the collapse of the Triumvirate, leaving no obstacle before a war. Turkish troops have finally invaded the Italian Middle East. Italy did not stand idle against the Turkish aggression, and a small-scale war between two former allies broke out. After the Turkish war machine ran out of steam, the front stalled and Turkey got bogged down in a stalemate they could not break. Gaining the clear upper hand in a war, Italy proposed a peace treaty with the terms of reparations from the Turkish government and a demilitarization of the Damascus region, terms which have been reluctantly accepted by the Turkish government. Peace once more rules the Middle East now. So this area, the entirety of the Syrian national state and parts of Turkey are now a demilitarized zone. Well, okay. Well, okay then. Stability is back to 86%. Debt to GDP, I don't think is gonna drop once we enter February, which is gonna be great. Construction is continuing. Did we? Yes, so we finished drilling the first fleet. You guys, the subs, you guys need to drill. And you guys will drill, all of you. Train free, train free. Come on guys, drill. Oh, you're repairing. Automatic split off needs to be enabled for every single fleet. So let me just fix that for all of them. And it's 1st of February. And we just got Shinano, another Yamato class battleship. So you are going to be assigned to the 3rd Kantai, the Old Dog, and we have 3 dockyards. Okay, well that is unexpected, so we'll need to deal with that next. The investigators decided Kodaira, as the most experienced of the detectives, should be the one to seek out allies. Tachi accepts this judgment with only a little argument, and Kodaira thanks the team and promises not to let them down. He quickly heads to his office and begins rooting through his files to find names and numbers. After a good search, he starts to make some calls. He skips formalities and makes it clear that this is a dire situation and he cannot disclose too much. His contacts understand. This is not the first time they had to exercise discretion, though they note that Kodaira is more grim and urgent than he ever had been before. They direct him to names, who direct him to other names, who give him numbers, who give him info. He eventually gets a few key names, numbers, and addresses, and heads out. He finds 2 potential allies that interest him the most. The first are few policemen in the Tokyo Police Department who are personal friends of Kodaira. Though he suspects the conspiracy may even reach as the police department. Okay, that would probably be as far as the police department. He would and has trusted these friends with his life, and they can gather the non-corrupt and loyal officers of the department. The other contract is riskier, but perhaps more rewarding. He has managed to gather a short list of discontent and slightly hot-headed officers who would do much for a chance for advancement. They could use their involvement against this conspiracy as a chance to take the places of any higher-ranking officers that lose their position. No, we will reach out to the men of the department. Yes, the men of the department, the loyal ones. I really do not want to risk, getting someone who can betray us. So what can we build here? Soyokaze. Or, well, Soyokaze is the one that we want to build. Is there anything that we want to give you? Heavy piercing torpedo attack depth charges. Anti-submarine warfare, depth charge free. Okay, so we're upgrading the fire control system here. Engine remains the same. Anti-area. Okay, so this one and the depth charge. So we're gonna call this the 1963 Soyokaza class. Save it up and start building these. Okay, let's get 2 of these available. This is gonna be our anti-submarine patrol. And it's February. Yep, debt to GDP 97.6%. GDP increased by 263.3 billion. Real GDP growth is now 5% and Universal Plus is 1.67%. When are we getting here? Oh, that's too far away. So let's end this episode by the Jerusalem Conference. It would seem that the tumultuous events in the Middle East, even after the Italo-Turkish War's conclusion, may yet result in some good. The Jerusalem Conference, an equal and free diplomatic meeting between the Jewish Yishuv, the Palestinian Fatah, and the Jordanian Hashemites had begun, with oversight from the now rogue Governor General, who is apparently acting on his own merit, overseeing negotiations. With the war a fresh memory in the minds of the people of the Levant, observers worldwide wait anxiously to see if peace in the Middle East is achievable. Possible solutions have included a partition, a Hashemite-led federation, and more, with some extremists even advocating for a single Jewish or Palestinian state spanning the whole of the Levant. Whatever the case, all sides hope to achieve a peaceable settlement, and the world watches with bated breath. Is this a step towards peace? Well, hopefully. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode. I'm really wondering if that Madagascar situation is gonna happen, and I really don't know what's gonna happen in the Middle East. I don't remember. So, yeah, it's as new for me as it is for you. Or maybe as new for you.